Hello, welcome. Thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
All right, so we're going to jump right into it. Tell us what it means to be original.
All right. Hi, everybody. So, I mean, that's a very vast and broad question, but in my world, it's doing things that are not a trend, being yourself, and just kind of following your gut and not following what others are doing or what's already popular at the moment, you know? My producer back in the day when we were making records said one thing that really stuck. He said, when you're writing music, don't write for the audience, write for yourself. And if you love it, the audience will adapt and will love it too. And it kind of became a staple of everything I've done since. So,
be yourself.
Be yourself.
Be yourself, be yourself all day long. People will like what you're delivering or they won't. Who gives a shit if they don't? Find someone else that will. Whether you're a musician, whether you're an executive, if you're not true to yourself, if you don't have something to add to the dialogue, then what are you doing? Then you're not original.
Right. Well, I mean, today it seems like trends are the way to go. You see them everywhere. Social media, you have sounds.
That's something that I want to touch on. I feel like the masses are getting rewarded for copying others and doing what others are doing. Like you said, the sounds, those little dances, and, you know, music becomes ass after it's played 50,000 times in one day, right? As you scroll, good songs become not so good anymore to, you know, if you hear it too many times like that, especially when they're put to video that annoys you.
Exactly.
It just bothers me that originality is not really rewarded nowadays. It's just like, everyone's like, well, of course I'm in cannabis. You know, I smoke premium. You know, of course I'm in, you know, what is that shit?
Right.
Anyways, it's bullshit. So
Right.
I think that a good trend should be to be original. That should be a trend, right?
Be first.
Yeah.
Don't be second.
But it sucks because they're not rewarding.
Correct.
It's not like you'll get followers if you're original. You'll be dropped in the corner of some algorithm that doesn't exist.
Exactly.
Only like 2% of your followers see your shit.
Right, if you
know?
don't play the game.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It's awful. So
Yeah.
I don't know how we switch that up, but it needs to be because our kids are growing up thinking that they need to copy someone to become popular or
Right.
to get followers or to be liked. It's bullshit.
Right, so
Yeah.
we're seeing people be awarded for copying, for doing what the next person did. Being original is now getting you shadow banned, essentially.
Exactly, full on.
Right, so how does someone in the cannabis industry stand out apart and be original here, where it's so saturated, there's tons of brands, everybody has the best weed.
Add something new
No,
to
they
the
don't.
conversation. That's all. Add something new. Don't make another gummy. Don't make another vape product. Don't make it. Try to think out of the box. Try to deliver something to a smaller audience, right? Everyone seems to want to launch something at scale. When in history were things ever launched at scale to start? Brands develop over time, right? Products get picked up over time. Everyone in this industry seems to want to like raise a bunch of money and go big really fast. The brands that I work with, I beg them all, stay small. Find your customer, rinse and repeat. Make them come back to you. Give them something that they want. Don't give away free product. Don't do buy one, get ones. Stop all that. Give somebody something original. They're going to pay for it. They're going to want it, but not if you're just following the trends.
It's also consistency. You know what I'm saying? Like any brand, have it be clothing or skateboards or music or whatever, weed. The only brands that last are the ones that are consistently good, you know? You need to gain the trust of your audience, of your, you know, buyers, of your, you know. So you need to be consistent and do whatever it takes to remain consistent. For example, for 22, anywhere we are, I get an ounce of every batch that's grown. And I make sure it's something that I would smoke before I allow it to go into a jar and up on a shelf. And I've been doing that for 5 years. Haven't stopped. We started in 2 dispensaries. We're now in 3 states. We're looking at. Dude, it's gotten kind of crazy, but I still test it all out. I mean, maybe I don't smoke all day, but I'll look at it, I'll smell it, I'll smoke it, I'll make sure it's something that I would want to put my name on.
Right.
You know? So it's really necessary you do that. And I think because of that, I could say we've been around for 5 years and we're going strong. And it's not like we're fucking top of the, you know, food chain, but we're there, man. We're creeping.
Right.
Yeah.
So in a world of all the eighth jars, which I call little gel sales that are just sitting on the on the shelf, there are so many brands, and it's hard to shop because not a lot of people are differentiating themselves. I see a lot of pretty women on packaging and But what brands, or are there any people specifically in the cannabis industry that you believe are original?
I'll back up before you even answer that. Like, if you're relying on bud tenders to sell your product, you're already fucking it up, right? Like, if you're not relying on your marketing department and yourselves to deliver something that people want, then what? Like, well, really? Your bud tenders should sell your product for you? Sorry, no.
Eventually, though, it's that because they're the ones that get asked.
They're the ones
what
who get
should
asked.
I buy?
Yeah, they're on the front lines.
They're on the front lines. In this industry, they are. But
you're right.
the turnover rate of bud tenders is 45 days on average. So you're going to spend all your money and energy educating people that are going to be there for 40 more days, and then you're going to do it over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. It's hard. But if a customer comes in, your customers are coming in asking for your product. Mm-hmm. They're asking for it. Mm-hmm. That's the way it should work, because you're delivering something, and you believe in it.
Also, I have a really big infatuation with genetics. You know, that's kind of the reason why I even got into the business, because I enjoy creation, and I think that's a part of it. Like, if you can, we've been pheno hunting lately, and it's the funnest part of this fucking whole business. To create strains from other strains is like kind of playing God, but it's in a cool way, you know?
Yeah, but you're creating strains that you want for yourself.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, what would an OG be crossed with this, and what would, you know, and that's the whole thing that I think is interesting and makes you original, if you can create some strains that other people didn't think of creating, and then finding the right seed that, you know, does the job. That's a big part of being original. So, to your question about who in the cannabis industry is original, I mean, that's a really loaded question, because there are people and brands that are, but they fall, they come back. It's about the way you brand and not looking like the other guy, and also what kind of products you have, you know, what kind of genetics you have, and how you speak of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you don't have a specific, like, to put anybody on blast on who's doing it right.
There's OGs out there, like Kenji's right there, Sean's out there.
Kenji.
I mean, I see people here that have done this, and I respect to the highest of levels, you know? And they're OGs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to branding and stuff, there's like it's such a wide
the
place,
people who care.
Yeah.
Like that's who I'm impressed with, right? Those are the originals that I like. That's who people that care. And like, I'm gonna throw a name out that can be controversial for some reason, which I don't understand. But fucking Burner cares, right? Burner is original. He's creating a path. He's creating a product. You like it, don't like it, isn't the point, right? Is he being original in what he's doing?
Absolutely. I mean, when I saw children at my kids' school wearing Cookies apparel, I was like, oh, he succeeded. They have no idea that they're kids.
It's kind of strange.
Yeah, it's not the Cookie Monster. Like, I'm just like, oh wow, that's
but it's original.
Right. He's a marketing brand.
Right?
He's no longer just a cannabis brand. It's a marketing company.
This wasn't a discussion of quality. It wasn't a discussion of business ethics. It's a discussion about originality, right?
Absolutely.
And he found a way to take the Supreme model and bring it to cannabis. Like it or dislike it isn't really the point. The point is that he was the first guy to fucking do it and figure it out.
Yeah.
And now everyone's trying to launch cannabis brands through apparel. Well, started with him.
Yeah, I mean, and it brings a good point. A part of being original does go into your marketing, but a lot of cannabis brands do not set aside the budgets for marketing, or we don't have the traditional avenues. We can't do Google ads. We can't do radio ads. We can't do television ads.
But everybody knew that getting in, right?
Correct.
Like that's the bullshit. People are bitching about the cannabis industry. They're like, oh, the black market. Oh, no interstate commerce. Oh, no banking. Oh, no marketing. Great. Those problems existed the day everyone in this room got involved in cannabis. Those aren't new problems.
Right.
Shavo
To your point. No. To your point.
Shavo's launching a brand in the face of all that. He just jumped in and launched a brand.
Exactly. But the marketing, that's the point. So I see a lot of brands who don't market.
Social.
Right.
It's tough to do social marketing, you know, with the social media that everybody else markets their products with, you know? I mean, you can do it on X now, you know what I'm saying? You can do anything on there. But like Instagram, I can't even show a package anymore. I mean, before it was smoking or you actually showing the weed. Nowadays, I show a package of my of the pre-rolls or whatever, and next thing you know, my page is completely shadow banned, and you know I'm getting warnings about getting banned, deactivated. But I do a lot more than cannabis from my personal page. It's like for music and shit. So that's a big danger for me. You know.
Right. Yeah.
which altogether sucks that we have to depend on social media.
Exactly.
For any
It's one of the downsides, but to your point, the marketing has to be, if it's not social media, if it can't be social media, it can't be the radio, there has to be a way that it's figured out, because Apple dominates the phone market, but they don't necessarily have the best phone, but they have the best marketing because they have our attention. We're rebuying the same phones over and over
I think the best marketing is your fans, like the
Right.
people that buy your brand, the people that respect your brand, the people that stay consistent to your consistency. Like, you need to be consistent. You can't one day have good. It's the whole white labeling world. When they do that, your brand doesn't stay consistent. But when you
Right.
do your own shit, it stays consistent.
Yeah.
That's the number one.
Yeah.
If you have a good people that talk to each other, this is a culture, what we have here. Everyone's listening. Everyone's here together for something. They talk to each other. They're going to leave here, say something about this. And that's marketing.
Yeah.
Pretty much. It's like
Word of mouth.
Straight street
Yeah,
Like
guerrilla marketing.
social media didn't exist
Yeah,
when some of
fuck
the biggest
social media.
brands in the world were created.
right.
There was no social media. How'd they do it? They built their fans
Yeah.
one at a
It's a
time.
fan base, one
Yeah.
by one. And it's
Right.
what he said earlier about, consistent growth. It doesn't have to go fast. If it, like the turtle wins the race, right? It's like, what's the term? The slow and steady.
Slow and steady.
Yeah.
Slow and steady is the way to go. It really is. Like I said, 5 years. I thought I had a 5-year plan of getting out. I'm like, no, I'm not getting out. This might be a 10-year plan. This might be 12.
Right.
But I like it. I like how it's going.
Okay. So how does one avoid falling into conformity or being a slave to the trends?
By being a follower. Okay, I have this project that I was working on. It's non-cannabis. It was music. And it was kind of avant-garde. It was an abstract project where I was coming up with a style of music, a different style. And as I was doing it, I started, I fell into the world of like, oh, but who's gonna like this? And I went against what my producer taught. And I started changing everything here and there just to like, oh, this crowd will love that, and the mumble guys will love this, and then the metal guys will, and then it became a mess. And I said, fuck all of that. And I pulled everything back, and I went back to the drawing board, and I started with a straight beat, and now it's something huge, like that I think is gonna pop, which I'm dropping soon. And that's when I stopped thinking about who's gonna like it, and who's gonna be a part of it, because that's when you fall into the trend. That's when you fall into the whole mix of everyone doing the same thing. You just gotta stop thinking about what anyone else is doing, or what anyone else will like,
You got to believe. You got to believe in your own voice. You just got to believe in your own voice, and then you got to be consistent. Like when Shavo tours, he knows he's got to play certain songs. They just know it because he's got to be consistent. He knows what people are paying for, and he's giving them what they're paying for. It's no difference with a consumer packaged good product with a cannabis product, right? You've got to give people the same thing over and over again because that's what they're relying on. Or maybe they're coming for new strains. Maybe they're coming for this, coming for that. But if you don't know what you're delivering to your consumer, then you can't be consistent. He knows how to be consistent. He's been doing it his whole career. Doesn't seem like it with new music coming out all the time, but he's consistent.
Yeah. Well, I think it also goes to knowing who you are, right? So a lot of companies will say, oh, I want to grow the best weed in the world, but they're also making edibles. So it's like, well, if you want to grow the best, or vapes, so why are you in the business? If you want to be the best brand, that makes sense, but you also have to make sure that your activities are aligned with your goals. So if you want to be the best weed brand in the world that has the best flower, that needs to be your focus. All hands on deck need to go to that so that you can achieve that goal. But if you're also making edibles, making vape pens, throwing parties, I don't know exactly what you're trying to do, but I know you're going to be gone soon because that money's got to be bleeding, right?
That's what's been happening, right?
Yeah.
The last 5 years I've been in the game, and I've seen, there's like 2%, 3% of the brands that we started with are still around.
Correct.
And I think it comes from that. When investors came in and threw a bunch of money on everybody, they used the money up like it's nothing, like it's always going to come, and then they ran out of money.
And that's another big point, right? If you want to be original, here's the other key. If you take investor money in, it's going to be really hard to be original.
Pretty much, because then you got to answer to other people, and then you get diluted. You know what I'm saying? Where you don't even have control of what you're doing. Like we've done one raise in the early days. We did only friends and family, and never again have we asked for money from anybody. We've had money get thrown at us by major groups, and we've had meetings, and there was a point where I was thinking maybe we should, but we speak, and we didn't, thank God, and we're now surviving in a great way where we're in the green, but, pardon the pun, but
you answer to yourself.
yeah, it's us. It's all us. And I don't have to answer to nobody. And I don't have investors that are pissed off at me or you know what I mean. So that's another
Or
way of-
pressuring you to
or
do
pressuring me, you know,
shit
like,
you don't want to be doing.
That's why I'm not doing every product that everybody has that you see here. I mean, stay in your lane, do what you do best, you know. And that's what it is. We have flour. I talk about flour. I talk about genetics, and that's what we have, and that's what we do.
Right.
You know, so
Smart.
there it is.
All right, so stepping outside of weed for a second, any person dead or alive that you would say embodies originality?
I mean, we talked about like artists like Bob Marley and stuff that did it their way, and you know, caused a whole slew of people to do what they do. You know,
Right.
there's many groups out there. There's many genres out there, like the originals of a genre. You know, so I mean, there's just that's loaded, like I said before.
Yeah.
Listen, I represent Bob Weir. I work with Bob Weir, and there's nobody more original on this planet in my mind. You know, he does it what he wants to do every day, but he knows his audience. He knows what they want from him, and he delivers enough for them, but fundamentally more for himself. And that's the key to it all, right? He's always reinventing what he's doing, but he focuses on what he wants to be delivering to the audience, with an eye to what they want to hear, but really a focus on himself.
That's something you said that stands out, is reinventing yourself. You can't always be staying on the same thing, you know? It's good to reinvent yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, but it has to be true, and it'll come off if it is. You know, people could see, these guys are not idiots. They could read through someone doing something just to do it, or someone does something from the heart.
Right.
So if it comes from the heart, it stays true, and
Right.
it shows. And,
Yeah.
you know, people know and recognize.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people, especially online, we're seeking authenticity. We're seeking someone that, oh, I can tell this is exactly who they are. This is their personality. This isn't an act. And I feel like, you know, we're not seeing that anymore. Again, back to the trends. Everybody's doing the same sounds, the same dances, the
We need
same
to switch
topic.
that up somehow.
Yeah.
Like originality has to be rewarded.
Right.
Like I'm working with Rama right now and Jamie Feaster on Country Cannabis, and we've been talking to a number of country artists and others to maybe work with us and producers, and they've asked, okay, so what do I have to do to have equity? What do I have to do to be a partner? And our answer has just been, just believe in the product. Just make it part of your personal narrative. They're like, well, how many posts? No, we're not adjudicating posts. We're not adjudicating. That's bullshit. That doesn't sell. That's not authentic. But if you use the product and make it as part of your narrative every day, that's original. That's
I wish
authentic.
brands knew that when working with marketers. I can make it a part of my lifestyle. I work with a brand called The Originals, where you've said that word a billion times. I just use the product and I always have it on me
Right.
because I love it. But as soon as you try to control my creativity or my association with you, then it just doesn't, I'm not good at acting this out. If I don't like it, I don't know if I can pretend that I like it.
So true. Like
Right?
something that hindered me in the beginning was people thinking that it's a celebrity brand. Like our brand is not a celebrity brand. I just happen to be someone. I mean, I play one on TV kind of thing, you know. This is me. And once people recognize that is when the brand started actually getting recognized. It's tough because celebrity brands, I'm not saying all of them, but most of them slap their name on a jar. They
Yeah.
get white labeled. They don't even know what they're freaking promoting.
Yeah.
And they're trying to make a quick buck. It might work with tequila. It might work with alcohol, but
It does not.
these guys know what they're fucking smoking, you know what I'm saying? They know the culture. It's not like they're
Yeah.
gonna be fooled by someone's name being on something, you know?
Yeah, California
So-
consumers do not care
Yeah,
about
it's
celebrity.
not
If
just
anything, they're
it's
not going to
everywhere.
purchase it.
But it's everywhere
Yeah.
too. It's not just California. It's going throughout the states and
Yeah.
even in like the European countries that are now getting legal and like the Thailands and stuff. It's about the quality and it's about how you bring it out to the public, how
Right.
you market and actually show that you're not doing this just for the loot. Because
Right.
people that do it for the loot, it shows. you
Right.
know?
Buying someone else's weed and putting your name on it is not original.
It's been a handicap. I swear, that's the one thing that's been a handicap for 22 is the fact that people assuming it's a celebrity brand and I'm doing what the others are doing. And once they realize I'm not, it's a different story.
Yeah, you're one of the only celebrities that has this
It's like
longevity.
a light gets lit up, you know? It's like, whoa,
Yeah.
all right, fucking let's try this.
So tell us about your relationship with the plant, because obviously that has a big thing to do, it's a big
Yeah.
part of it.
So I've smoked since I was like 20. I didn't start in my teens or nothing. And the first smoke I had was at a Guns N' Roses Metallica show at the Rose Bowl. And they were passing a joint around and I go pass it just as a joke and someone passed it. I was like, okay, I gotta do this now. So I smoked. Nothing really happened, but it kind of opened me up. And after that, we started System and my guitar player smoked a lot. And I just kind of, it was like we would go to Alvarado, we'd have a nickel, we'd have like a $5. He had $5, I had $5. So I asked for a nickel sack from like the dude on the corner of Hoover and Pico. And he'd put the nickel sack in my hand, and I'd say, put some more. And then he'd put some more, I'd say, now give me 2 of those. So I get a 10 sack, right? And then we'd go to the studio, and we'd smoke and talk about how great our band's gonna be. And that's how it started. And then in like 99, 2000, we went to Amsterdam. And a friend of mine had given me a number and said, call this dude. This dude knows, like, he has the good shit. I have no idea who I'm calling. And we get there. His name is Arjan. I don't know Arjan from anything. So I was like, 5 a.m., we get to Amsterdam. I hit him up at 5 a.m. I wake him up. He's like, who is this? Tell him who I am. Has no clue. I said, listen, I'm here. I have no weed. I want to smoke. He's like, just hit me up after 10. I hit him up after 10. I guess he did some research. He found out. He's like, listen, come down. Where are you staying? I told him where I'm staying. I guess his dispensary or coffee shop was right below the hotel. We were staying at the Grand over there. So we go there, and he hands me 2 ounces of the dankest weed that they had at the time. And I was like, can I just get like a little bit of everything on your menu? Because I wanted to taste everything. LA, you don't got that, or you didn't have that at the time. And so he looked at me differently. And he invited me to the harvest tasting that week. Wow. So I went to his house from like 4 p.m. to like 2 a.m. We sat around this crazy Thanksgiving table of bowls of amazing, from the Arjan Hayes to the Super Silver to the White Widows that he created. And this was Arjan Roskan, who's the strain hunter. He's fucking a greenhouse seed company. And I met a legend, and he changed my life.
Wow.
And I kind of became a connoisseur that day. I was like, wow. You know, you could smoke
That's an incredible
all
story.
sorts of cool little strains and make you feel different feelings. And so I think you can see it out there. I think they were filming. You go on YouTube system Getting High, and I think there's like 10 minutes of that experience.
I'm definitely going to watch that. You
Yeah,
guys look
it's
that
pretty
up
cool.
too, because that sounds like an
So
amazing
that made it
story.
for me. Yeah, so that's why I'm in here.
Okay.
That's why I come here.
Okay, so you have a love and appreciation from the plant, and it was done properly. That sounds like a very original story.
Well, there you go.
What about you, Ken? What's your? I know you're a big psychedelics guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, for me, I would say my reintroduction to the plant, right? Because, yeah, I smoked weed when I was 15 years old, and it was Mexican brick shit. And I remember the first time I was at USC, and we drove up to Humboldt, and we bought a pound of weed, and I was like, holy fuck, this is amazing. But really, about in 2015, my son had gotten sick, and Western medicines completely failed us. And about 18 months after being sick, my wife finally said, okay, you can try it your way. And I reached out to Tikkun Olam in the middle of the night. They were based in Israel, and they were the only, and still are, the company in the world doing kind of FDA-level studies on the plant. And they couldn't have been more generous, and I explained to them what was going on, and they sent me long questionnaires that I filled out with my son, and we went back and forth, and they gave me the very specific terpene profile and cannabinoid profile that was working for adolescents in Israel medically. And a friend of mine had someone formulate capsules for me in Malibu to meet those exact specifications. And this is going to sound crazy, but at the time, the recommendation was no more than 100 milligrams of cannabinoids a day for health. But I knew that my son needed more than that, and I gave him about 300 or 350 milligrams of THCA and CBD, and in 45 minutes he was up shooting hoops in the backyard for the first time in 2 years. My wife was hysterically crying, and I haven't looked back.
Wow.
Hell yeah.
That's incredible.
Very.
Does that change your perspective on how the industry operates now that you know that it is a really good medicine?
I don't know that it changes my perspective on the way the industry operates. I think that prices have a long way to go down, and I think that's a good thing, because the further prices go down, that's going to put a lot of people under some distress. I'm aware of that. But it's also going to mean that the plant is less expensive and more accessible to more people. And I think fundamentally, if that's what we're going for, and that's the future anyway, then we should embrace it. Because the more people that are using this plant, however you define medicine, because I don't want to define it anymore, I think that's just better for the planet.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, cannabis has been a huge savior in my life and my health. I would like to see the prices come down because we are creating an access issue. I mean, medicines are already extremely high. I have one medication. If I didn't have insurance, it's $5,000 a month.
The prices are high because of the taxation and all that
Right.
stuff. So it's really not because of we're trying to,
Right.
you know,
Yeah,
give
no,
you that.
brands don't want it to be this
No,
expensive.
like-
They don't have a choice.
Like who's really making money in the legal industry, you know,
The
business
government.
in California, except the government. You know what I'm saying? I'm being honest, you know. So that's what needs
Yeah.
to come down, and they need to figure it out. They don't know yet. They have no clue. They're just seeing profits on their end. They tax a seed to sale like 6-7 times. It's insane. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And then you pay while you're buying. So I don't know.
Yeah.
That's why the prices are high.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we as an industry kind of suck, right? Because when you read articles about how cannabis taxes are outpacing alcohol taxes, and people are like championing that like it's a good thing because it shows the growth of the industry, it's actually a pretty fucking shitty thing. Because on a volume basis, we're being taxed so much higher than alcohol. And if you taxed it on a volume basis, you'd see that like the numbers just don't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right now in my book club. We're reading a book called "Marijuana is Safer, So Why Are We Driving People to Drink?" And the amount I knew that alcohol was damaging, but the way that it's so damaging and it helped kind of fuels the healthcare system, and the amount of youth deaths that happen at universities across the nation every single year, we know that young people are going to die of alcohol intoxication. It actually doesn't require a lot of alcohol, which is why when you introduce fentanyl, it becomes lethal almost immediately when you combine those two substances. So we are seeing alcohol not get taxed the way that cannabis is getting taxed, and then you wonder, like, I feel like it's worth the risk, right? The jail time is worth the risk rather than me losing my liver or me potentially dying or me having all kinds of health issues for the rest of my life. But what do we do about it on our end about the taxing issue? Because for the consumer, we're eating in LA 33%, which is insane. 33% on vegetables. Could you imagine me paying 33% on tomatoes at the grocery store? And then in some states, if that tomato is more red than the other tomato, you've got even more taxes, because some states are like THC percentage is going to require a different tax, like it's different tax brackets. So what's the solution with that? How do we be original and go to the government and say, hey, this isn't working? What do we do?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we really can't control them.
Right.
You know, it's how you vote, but I don't know how good that is at this point either.
We don't have any lobby.
Yeah,
we don't have any
pretty much
political
don't.
protection. Yeah.
We don't, so I don't know. I don't
And
know
then, and then once the federal government gets involved, we're going to reface a whole new set of issues,
it's
right?
going to be a mess.
It's going to be a whole new, like, they're not just going to say, okay, it's rescheduled, 280E went away, yay, we don't make the tax money anymore. Like, come on.
Truly. They got that 280 tax break. Did you hear about that?
Of course.
Yeah,
And
so-
they've been very smart to be closed-lipped about it. But
Right. But if they're doing it, one can only imagine that we're next, right? We should be able to soon if they figured it out.
in theory, right.
Right.
In theory.
Okay.
But the taxes need to go down. But it's going to be hard for people to be original when there's, you know, lack of financing in the business right now, when people don't have an original product to launch or original idea. But there's going to be probably a lot of people stripped out of the industry in the coming years.
Yeah.
And then I think after that, there'll be new innovation. There'll be people finding new strains of people that are truly trying to deliver a product that doesn't exist, and there's a reason for it, or a consumer base that's looking for it.
Mm-hmm. So any last tips for someone coming in? How do you be original? Whether that's plant touching or non-plant touching, which is the side that I'm on, the ancillary side.
Like I said before, do you, man. Don't do what's being done. That's my number one take from this whole, you know, conversation is don't follow the trend because you're already behind. You know, it's already there.
Yeah.
The only people that do well with a trend are the ones that started it. They're the setters. They're
Right.
trendsetters. If you're not the trendsetter, do not follow a trend. You have more chance of, and this doesn't only go to cannabis. This is music. This is art. This is life. In life. Once you follow a trend, you're already behind everybody
Correct.
else. So
Yeah.
you're already lost. You know, you're not gonna. You might make mediocre, whatever, but you're never
Yeah.
gonna be on top because you're not. You didn't create it yourself. So I would spend more time figuring something out that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And take chances. It's all about risks and chances.
Yeah.
You know, because you can't fear taking a chance. You just have to go with it.
Yeah, I mean, and it can get the pressure to kind of fall in line also
There's
becomes
a lot
heavy.
of pressure with being
Yeah.
original. That's like, it's scary.
Yeah, especially for me on social media, I'm not doing the sounds and the trends, and I know that I'm not going to get rewarded
You're
by
not.
the algorithm, but you know, there is that pressure that's like, I
Why
need to
aren't you doing
just
the
go
trends and the
ahead and
sounds?
do
How
these
come
little
you're not doing it?
dances
That way.
to get the education out there. You know, what does the girl got to do?
It's terrible. It's terrible.
But yeah, great advice. What about you?
Do you.
Do you, yeah.
Do you. And be transparent to people. Let people
Yeah.
know that that's who you're going to be. Let your investors know. Let everyone around you know that's who you're going to be.
Yeah,
Also be prepared to pivot.
yeah,
But, you know, if you're transparent with people, you have all the leverage in the world.
Mm-hmm.
If you're constantly, you know, not being clear with people, not being honest with people, not being honest with yourself,
Yeah.
that's, you know, do you and love what you do.
yeah.
Also know that if you're doing you and you're doing something that's not happening, it's going to take a little time. It's
It
not
will.
just going to pop right off, and don't get discouraged. Keep going.
Yeah.
If you believe in it, you can make it happen. If people see how much you believe in it, and if you have passion and you have work ethics, that's the winning combination of anything in any
Amen.
business, in any form, anything in life. If consistency, passion, delivery, period.
Yeah.
And deliver 100% of the time, no matter how big the audience is. When he plays, whether there's 200 people there or 25,000 people there, he's delivering 100% every time.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Absolutely.
Say that into
Absolutely.
the microphone. Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah. I
Thank
agree.
you for this, by the way.
Of course.
This was a good call.
I just would like to finish with once upon a time, I was a girl that annoyed all of my family and friends because I only talked about weed for years and years. And when I finally started making videos in my car, my friends and family felt relief because they're like, ugh, she has someone else to talk to about this shit. But those car videos eventually got me here to this stage. I was just being myself, and that's the easiest thing. I get to just be myself. My family and friends, my nephew is here today watching me. He found my catnip when he was a little kid, and now he's in the cannabis industry. So, you know, just being original, being yourself, being authentic, so that you never know who's watching. I'm so happy. I'm a proud aunt to have him here today and to be able to see, like, you know, I wasn't a burnout that the family said, look what we're doing. We're spreading the education and the business into the family. So be who you are. People may not like it. That's fine. You'll find your tribe as long as you're consistent, you have passion. We will eventually believe you. Yeah. So, yeah.
No, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Do we have time for questions, David? Should we ask any, or are we? Yeah. Does anybody have any questions?
Everyone's like, you're done.
We're done. Go ahead. Which two?
Which two?
Shavo and Kraig.
Oh, Shavo and Kraig.
OnlyFans.
What a guy. That's the good. I've been talking about that all week.
Only
What did I
fan.
do?
Only fan.
How
Only
can
have
I
one.
profit off OnlyFans? That's, we got to figure something out.
That's an interesting question.
We're going to have to think about that, my friend.
Like if he and I went to dinner tonight and got pretty high, pretty sure we'd come up with a pretty big business plan.
I think you guys should go to
It just
dinner.
needs to be real. That's it. It needs to be something that is real.
We would.
Hi, I have a question for both of you. You both have pretty large branded verticals in big entertainment businesses. So how do you find the balance of not diluting the value of that brand with things that you do outside of that brand in cannabis? How's
That's a great question.
Feels like it's such a hard line to walk, and you
Very
both
true.
do it really, really, really well.
For me, I'm just me always. Like people that know me know that's who I am and that's what they're gonna get. Whether it's in the entertainment vertical that I work in all the time, the music space, whether it's in cannabis, I'm just authentically me always. And people like it or they don't, and if they don't, I don't really give a shit.
I actually just spoke of this maybe like an hour ago. I have a pretty good reputation in music, and I don't want to fuck that up, and I always say that. So everything I do in this industry has to be true to me, and has to be premium. I say I'm premium, it's premium. It has to be. Hence, I check every batch. I send secret shoppers to dispensaries. I make sure what's in my jar is what they say is. I've been screwed before, and I don't want to mention where, but I did send secret shoppers out, and like my jar contained weed that wasn't ours, wasn't my genetics. I went after the distributors. I went after the people that actually caused that. So pulled it off the shelves. I actually purchased back my own weed, so we don't have, so no one walks in and buys a 22 jar and they don't like the weed. It's not what I say it is. That's the only way, or else you can easily fuck up your reputation.
Any other questions? Mark?
Kaz coming in hot.
How we doing? How we doing?
Doing good.
So branching off of that, you guys have incredible brands. How do you find cultivators or processors in different states that you can work with, that you can trust, that they will be communicative and bring the brand that you want to that market?
It's all trial and error. I meet everybody. I go personally, I check what they're doing, I check their history, and I check their grows. I send one of my partners a Cerulean Yields. He's one of my favorite growers of all time, and he knows how to build grows. He knows how to do it. He's built some of the most authentic OG grade there is. We sent him out to make sure that the grows, that's why he's my partner. That's why he's an equal partner. He goes out there and he does his job. It's all about putting a good team together. If I'm not the best in everything, I just know what I'm good at, and I do that. And if I need other people to make this come true, I get those people and I put a good team together. So that's what you do. You have to make sure that they are the ones. And like I said, I have been messed with before. This little story I told you about was a distributor grower that screwed us. So you learn from mistakes, right? Don't ever look at a mistake as a failure. Look at it as a lesson, and that's what I've done. So that's the only way.
Any other questions? Going once. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining
Thank you,
us
guys.
today.
Thankful.